Hey, it's Pam Maldonado here with EmpowerTheCoach.com, and I am just blessed to have an interview with Sean Mize at AnyoneCanCoach.com. And Sean has written the book, Anyone Can Coach, and he's done a bazillion more amazing things. And I'm just so happy to be able to have a little bit of time to pick your brain, Sean. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. I'm having fun. I'm loving the questions you're asking, Pam. So many times in interviews, folks ask really dull, boring questions. And you're really asking some deep questions. And so I'm having fun.
Awesome. Awesome. I am too. So here's the question of the day for you. It's about traffic. I think everybody's concerned about traffic. Traffic is always an issue, it seems, and it's changed a lot from what used to work so well in the past. But what do you think is our next best step for getting many more targeted leads or subscribers or traffic to our sites or to our lists?
What a great question. What a loaded question. You're right. It's always an issue because if we don't have traffic, we don't have a business. I think one of the challenges that we have is unfortunately, the word traffic is just such a generic term. And so we begin to think that what we need is more traffic. And so we focus on this numerical thing. So it'd be, we try to get as many people to come to our website as possible, but when we do that, we don't screen very well. So for example, if somebody owned a high-end dress store and they said, I want more traffic. And so they say, well, I think in order to get more traffic, I think we should hire a clown. I think we should hire a clown in the back, and the clown is going to make these little balloon animals for children. And we're going to put a big sign out on the corner that says free balloons for children. And just come through our store. And the fact of the matter is they could get 1,000 people to come through their store, but even if some woman comes through the store and might want to buy a dress someday, she's not trying any dresses on today because she's got 2 children that she's trying to occupy, and she's bringing them to the clown in the back with the balloons. And then what's going to happen is the dresses are just going to all get torn up. And what we think of, what I think most coaches do is they've just got this idea, I got to get as many eyeballs as possible to my website. And so they fall for these tricks like, what's the cheapest way to get leads from Facebook? What's the cheapest way to get leads from YouTube? How can I get the most visitors for the least? And that usually backfires. And because it just brings the clown seekers in. I believe that traffic has to be approached from the opposite perspective. I think the traffic has to be approached from the perspective of who needs what I have and where are they? So who needs what I have and where are they? Hey, and if we think about it, they exist in social media. They don't actually exist in a search engine. They use a search engine to get to somebody's website, but they're actually in someone's website. Okay, so they're in somebody else's website, or they're in social media, or they're on somebody's list somewhere, okay, or they're watching a video somewhere. So they are somewhere. Okay, and we can look at this from 2 different perspectives. We can say, okay, if they are somewhere, how can we go to that somewhere place and say, hey, wait a second, here's come take a look at what I have over here. Okay, so that's one way we can do it. We call that interruption marketing. The second way that we can do it is we can say, okay, well, if they are somewhere, what can we produce? Well, this is part of the first way. What can we produce to attract them to us? So I said it was the second way. It's all the same. So that would be saying, okay, social media, people are hanging out in social media. Why don't I create my own Facebook group and just hang out the shingle and invite people that have a certain problem to come into my Facebook group and begin to talk with them. Okay, so if they're on Facebook, how can we get them to come to us? Okay, now, what most people will do is they'll say, okay, well, what I really need to do in Facebook is go get into everybody else's groups and everybody else's pages and try to sneak in and try to steal people from their groups to come over to me. And as soon as they do that, they're no longer welcome because people don't want that occurring. So then they say, okay, well, if I can't do it for free, I guess I'll just have to pay $2 a visit. Okay. The problem with just paying, now, first of all, some people get pretty good at just paying and making a profit, but usually it takes quite a bit of an investment to get to the place where you're good. And in fact, the fact of the matter is the people that are really good, let's say somebody is spending $30,000 a month on traffic at Facebook. They're spending $30,000 a month on traffic. For that to be good, they really need to be generating $60,000 or $70,000. Okay. Well, what that means is, if you think about it, though, they're only doubling their money. It takes a long time to get that good. We see some of the stats, the hyped up stats of 10 times ROI on paid traffic. What folks don't understand is that for somebody to get a 10 times ROI on a campaign, it's either a fluke. Okay, so it's either a fluke, it's something that we do short term that works for a few days or a few months, that's a fluke. Now, flukes are amazing because they put money in our pocket, but flukes are horrible because we rely on the fluke, and when the fluke goes away, we can't make our mortgage payment anymore. And so what we want to be careful of is not building our business on flukes. Now, if a fluke happens, hey, I'll take the money, but we can't build our business on flukes. And a lot of times people are building paid traffic business on flukes. The second thing that we see is if somebody's saying, look, I'm getting a 10 times return on a campaign, almost without fail, if you ask them how long they've been improving their campaign, they may tell you 5 to 10 years. Now, they're doing it, they're doing well, they're making a full-time living, they're making more than a full-time living, but they've been tweaking it for 5 to 10 years. Now, if we take a coach and we say, okay, great, you have a 10-year plan? Great. Here's a 10-year plan. Let's get you to 10 times ROI in 10 years. Wonderful. That's awesome. The problem is most people want the traffic now, and pouring money into traffic usually doesn't make good traffic happen right now, especially when we're paying for ads. And the reason that people pay for so many ads is it's the easiest way to think we're getting traffic. Because all I have to do is open up my wallet and tell Facebook or Google or Twitter or wherever to take $300 a day out of my wallet and to send me a bunch of traffic in exchange. The other problem with that is most people don't know that the traffic's not working for 30 to 60 days. Well, let's say we open up our wallet for $300 a day. 60 days later is $18,000. And now we finally realize that it doesn't work. Now, I'm being a little cynical. I know that there's programs out there. There's some great guys out there that teach folks very wisely to start with $5 a day. You start with $5 a day, and when you can take $5 and turn it into 10, then start putting 10 a day in. But it's not traffic like that does not happen fast in almost all cases. If it does, it's usually a fluke, which means that at some point it comes to an end. Okay, so the other side of traffic, instead of paying for it or attracting people to it, the other side of traffic is to find websites or people, usually people, who have access to people who have a need what you have, and then find a way to build a relationship with each one of those people such that they will share their contacts. So, for example, a guy or gal has 10,000 subscribers on their list, which they've taken the last 10 years to build up. It didn't happen overnight. They built it up over time. They paid for some of it. They made relationships for some of it. They had a fluke that got them some of it. So they had lots of different ways that they got these people on their list. They have 10,000 people on their list. Well, one of the things, and this is a bit of an insider information that most people don't even think about or realize.
Take notes.
Go ahead.
Take notes.
Yeah, take notes. And believe it or not, what happens is a lot of times this is going to make this question kind of go over time, but I think it'll be worth it.
Yes.
So there is a life cycle in most coaches and gurus and mentors. There's a life cycle that happens. It's different for everybody, but generally you start off small, you work really, really hard, and in working really, really hard, you create a lot of training and you create a lot of programs and you start selling it, and then you start selling coaching, and then you start raising your prices, and then you take a portion of your money and you build it into a bigger and bigger list. And then in order to do that, you realize that you can't do all your customer service. You hire a couple of customer service people, and then you realize you need help with graphics. You hire 2 of those kinds of people. And then you decide you just really want to go big guns here. And you say, I just want to start selling big packages. So I need to hire 3 salespeople. And then now I need a sales manager. And now I need a manager to manage all the managers. And then now I need this. And I've got a list of 200,000 people. And in order to fund this, I'm going to do a big launch once a year. I'm going to do a big launch twice a year. And we're going to do a $2 million launch. And that $2 million launch is going to pay all our payroll for the next 6 months, or it's going to pay all our payroll for the next year. And I'm just giving you a hypothetical path. Every coach's path is a little bit different. What often happens is that the coach burns out. When the coach burns out, they are no longer able to sell enough to meet all the payroll. And so they have some choices. They can start laying people off, which is a rough thing to do when you have a small business because you know everybody personally. It's one thing to have a corporation with 200,000 people and you walk into a room with your big chest and you say, you know what, I don't know how we're going to do it. 10% of people have to go. Whether it's our last hires, it's our least productive people, let them go, give them 2 months severance. Surely they'll be able to get a job by then. But it's easy to do that when you have 200,000 people underneath you and you've never met somebody's babies. You've never been inside their home. You've never met their husband or wife. And you don't know the person. They're just a statistic. And you can give them 2 months severance. You can say, go get yourself another job. The problem is in real life, it's not that easy to get that next job. It's debilitating to be fired. All of those kinds of things. And so when you have a very small business and you've nurtured to the place where you have 30 or 40 people and you're doing $6 million a year, it's really hard to cut back because the person that you're going to fire, you've had them over for barbecue once a month. You've been over to their house. You've gone to their kid's graduation. You bought baby shower items. And you know that the person working for you, you've been paying them really good because you've been rolling in it, okay? You know that they've got a nice mortgage, they got a nice car, they wear nice clothes, they go to nice schools because you've been paying them good. They can't get another job making as much money because they're doing a specialized task for you. Makes it really hard to cut back, okay? So we see this with some of these guys. They go on the speaking tour. They go on a speaking tour, and they get to where they're speaking twice a week. They're going to all these big events. They're spending more and more money to do this. They're making money, but they're spending more and more money to do this. At some point, they break, whether it's a nervous breakdown, whether they get an autoimmune disease, whether they just get tired and bored, whether they have a midlife crisis, whatever happens, they reach the top and they have to scale back. They either fall off the top or they have to scale back or whatever. And what happens is they end up with, no matter what they do with the people and their babies, all right, and their husbands and wives and mortgages, no matter what they do with that, they end up with one asset. They have a list of 100,000 people. They're running one of their own coaching programs once a year or twice a year. They're too burnt out to do anything else. That list is an asset that can be mailed to every single week for a different offer. And what people don't realize, what coaches don't realize, what ordinary folks don't realize is that there are millions of emails out there waiting to be mailed by the right offers and by the right connections. I think in one of the earlier questions, I'll refer back to the earlier question. We talked about this idea that, that people are becoming more alone and more alone and more alone. And so then there's a need for masterminds. One of the other things that's happening is because people are becoming more and more alone, they have less connections with real people. And so because they have less connections, it's more difficult to pick up the phone and know who somebody is and be able to have that connection. But because of that, now this is my personal belief. I can't give you any documentation for that. But what I personally believe is that folks that have the bigger lists are having a harder and harder time finding good offers and good people to participate in cross mailings and to continue to build lists. Because of that, I believe that right now, today, and I don't know how long this will last, but I think there's a very unique window of opportunity for folks that say, I'm going to build some relationships. And I've been talking about some of this, but this idea of reaching out to folks, whether it's in LinkedIn or whether it's just finding the experts online and getting on their list and sending them an email, but reaching out to folks and building relationships. And one of the best ways to build relationships is to say, look, I was at your website. I saw something I appreciated on it. Kudos to you. Awesome. And the person writes back, you respond again and you say, hey, I'm doing a project, whatever that project may be. It may be something like what you're doing right here. It may be a project. It may be a side project. It may be a summit. It might be a giveaway. it might be a masterclass series, might be whatever, and say, hey, I'm working on a project. Would you allow me to interview you for 45 minutes for this project and ask you some detailed questions? These won't be the dumb, boring questions most people want to ask you. These will be really in-depth questions. Would you be willing to clear your plate for 45 minutes so I can do that? Okay, so that now becomes a relationship builder. Once we have that relationship, there is a whole world of opportunity for building emails and building subscribers. I know you asked about traffic first, but what good is traffic if it's just going to a clown that's making balloon animals? But if we're bringing real people to a real summit or giveaway or interview just like this. So for example, let's say somebody's watching you and I talk, okay? And they think, wow, I'd like to get to know Pam. Pam asks great questions. Or I'd like to get to know Sean. Sean has good answers. And so they say, how can I get in touch with Pam? Well, underneath this video on YouTube, there's going to be a link to your website and mine. And the person's going to say, wow, this is pretty cool. And they're going to go get on they're not even going to get on my list yet. They're going to go to my website. The fact of the matter is 2/3 of the people that come to my website are going to say, yeah, Sean was a smooth talker, but I don't really need what Sean has. And so they're just going to disconnect themselves. And what's going to happen is only the third of people that have watched the video and go to the link and click on the link and go, yeah, I'd like to learn more from Sean. Those are the people that get on my list. Those people then think it become my ideal traffic. Why? Because you reached out to me to do an interview the same way as I was just describing. And I want to take it one step further. And I know we're taking some time here, but I want to take this one step further. There's a whole world of commercial activity that many, many folks do not realize. They even sign up for them sometimes, and they might even look at it as an imposition. What they don't realize is that there's a whole world of events where coaches, mentors, and gurus in various different niches will come together as a band, 30, 40, 50 of them together, and say, we're going to do what we call a giveaway or a summit or a masterclass series or whatever you want to call it. But we're all going to participate. We're all going to mail each one of our lists 2 to 3 times. We're all going to give a reason for people to participate. And when someone opts into a summit or a giveaway or an interview series or anything like that, the host gets the traffic from everybody. They get all of the emails, and then each person, for the ability to be able to download, Johnny's interview, they have to enter their name and email address to be able to get to that interview. And when that happens, Johnny gets the subscriber from that. Okay, we could talk all day long, and we could probably talk about a unique way to get traffic every single month for a month of Sundays. Yeah. But this method right here is very, very exceedingly powerful method. And obviously you're employing it here. This is a very powerful method. And then when you take it almost exponential by doing summits and giveaways, that kind of thing, I believe this is the kind of thought patterns that folks need to have, not necessarily summits and giveaways, but I think these are the thought patterns that people need to have about saying, how can I get the right traffic rather than just traffic?
Right. Holy cow, Sean. That was like a gob of information. And people, I hope they go back and replay this and take notes, because there was a bazillion lessons in there and amazing, more than gold nuggets. It's like gold mines. When I hear you talk about this type of a relationship thing, for me, it feels like going back to what people would say the old days. When you were taught to look someone in the eye when you talk to them, and you shake their hand, and when they would come and visit, you'd send a thank you note. And how you would always be polite, and you did some of that marketing and relationship building through letters. And I think there was kind of a generation or maybe 2 that art was lost, and that right now, in a way, in a cyber world and online world, maybe, that kind of a technique is coming back with this relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The thing is, people have been doing this for years. The experts and gurus have been doing this for years, just under the radar. But I believe that it's time for the ordinary person to be able to say, you know what, I can do this. I can decide I'm going to be a host. I was talking with a client earlier today that said that she's tried to be a part, or she's been invited to perhaps be a part in her particular niche and of these things. And the particular ones that she participated with, the host said that she didn't have enough subscribers. And she actually had a sizable number of subscribers. And I said, wow, that's interesting. So, obviously there's requirements for these giveaways, and the host gets to determine. And so somebody that's brand new might have a difficult time becoming a part of some of them. But I said, wait a second. How many other people just like you are being turned away? What if all of you that are being turned away that don't have the subscriber list, the required subscriber list, were to band together, and you were to say, I'm going to do my own summit, and I'm going to call, and I'm going to get 40 people who can't qualify for the big ones. I'm going to get 40 people to do these. I'm going to show them how it's a great opportunity for them to grow their list. I'm going to really sell them on it. We're going to do it. They're cast-offs. They can't do it the big ones anyway, but we're going to do a small one together. The fact of the matter is, you do a small one, and if you take the bull by the horns and say, well, I'm going to run this summit, you may do a small one with 40 people that can only offer 100 subscribers apiece. But if you get every subscriber, you're able to build a list of 40 times 100 people, even though it's a small list. You're able to personally generate a list of 4,000. Now, next month, maybe you can qualify to be a part of somebody else's, or maybe you say, you know what, I'm going to do my own next month. Mm-hmm. I was on the phone with another guy a couple of 3 days ago. They're doing one, and he told me how he does it. He's doing it 100% scratch. He found me online. It was funny, Pam, because he sent me a message, and it was a real personal message. And he sent me this personal message, and he said, Sean, I'd like to invite you to participate in this stack. And, if you have something amazing to contribute. And I felt honored. He wrote me this personal email. And so I wrote back, and I answered whatever his question was. But I asked, how'd you find me? I assumed that somebody that I knew had recommended me. And he said, no, I just found you online. So, of course, that gave me, that made me feel good, because I said, oh, wow, I'm standing out online. You found me online. This is wonderful. So I agreed to the interview, and he interviewed me just like you would interview somebody, or somebody else would interview for a summit. He told me all about it. And really all I have to do is give him my download page and my opt-in, and he does everything else. He just asks me to mail 2 or 3 times to my list, which is a small price to pay to get in front of 800 to 1,000 buyers. I'll end up with probably 200 or 300 new buyer subscribers. So this is a buyer thing, not a freebie like we were just talking about. So it's lower numbers, but higher quality. So finally, before he got off the phone, he was in a hurry. We were over, just like we're getting ready to be over. We were over, probably because I was talking too much. And I said, let me ask you this. How did you really find me? And I don't know if he was in a hurry or not. Well, I know he was in a hurry, but I don't know if this is why he said it. He said, I just told my research assistant to go find a whole bunch of people that are in this particular niche, and she found you in your email. And so she sent you here's the thing. Here, I thought I was important. Somebody referred me. No. I thought I was important. He found me because of my book. No. He found me because he paid somebody, whatever, $8-10 an hour, and somebody starting out could just do it themselves for free, to make a list of 1,000 people and cold call, send these emails. They look so personal. I mean, here's the thing, Pam, when you're in my position, and I'm not even big. I'm big. I'm small potatoes compared to most of these folks out there. I'm small potatoes. But I still see enough names that if somebody sends me an email that looks halfway personal, I have no idea if I know them or not. I'm not going to write back and go, oh, you're cold calling me. As long as somebody will write me a nice personal email and not lie to me. Pam, the funniest thing is people will lie to me. They'll send me an email and say, I've been on your list for 7 years and I've bought lots of your products. Well, what do you think I do? I don't recognize the name. I should. You bought lots of my products, I ought to know you, right? So I look your name up. You're not on my list. If you are, you've been there for 7 days, not 7 years. You've never bought anything from me. Okay, guess what? I don't even care to reply to this person, right? The person's a liar right out of the gate. Written an email that's obviously very cold email. But this other guy, he sends me an email. I'm a total cold lead. but he wrote me such a warm email. He didn't lie ever, but he wrote me such a warm email that I responded. And I responded, and I'm going to participate, and he's going to make money from it, and I'm going to make money. He's going to get some of my subscribers because they're going to opt in. I'm going to get people from him. If I do a summit in a couple of months, I'm going to call him up and I'm going to say, hey, you want to do mine? What are the odds that he's going to say yes?
Right.
And I think that that's what people don't realize is that it's hard work, but it's actually an easy thing to do, that it's a process that folks can do, because if a research assistant can do that, well, you can do that. And you can send these emails out, and the people that respond, you get on the phone and you say, this is how it's going to work. This is when we're going to do it. All you got to do is get me your download. I'll do everything else. I'll gussy the page up, send me your opt-in box from your autoresponder. It'll take you 10 minutes. The only thing I ask is that you'll mail 2 or 3 times. They're glad to do it and get the subscribers. You're glad to do it. Everybody's happy. This is one of the really big secrets of the experts and the big guy. There's one more piece, and then I'm done. A lot of folks, what they're doing is they're building their list like this, and they either have one coaching program that they sell. They don't have a new one every week. They have one program, or they're just doing affiliate marketing. There's an affiliate launch every single week. They build relationships with people so that they don't run away when they say, go check out this video. They send a video out that says, hey, John's teaching on such and such a topic. You ought to go to this video. It's not salesy. It's not even a sales page. Just go to a video. The fact of the matter is the video is a masterclass or a webinar, and a percentage of people buy, and the guy that's building the list gets 50%. This is a business model that people have been using for years and years and years, and the little guy or gal feels like they're cut out of it. I disagree. I disagree vehemently, and I believe that any little guy that is willing to go out there and do the work can build a small summit, can do another bigger one, can do another bigger one, and as soon as they're building the list, they can monetize it with affiliate marketing, or they can monetize it with their own coaching program. I know that went over, Pam, but I hope it was worth it.
Oh man, it was worth it. I'm glad. I give you all the permission to go over on that one. That was absolutely amazing. And I really like how everything you said in there makes it doable for anybody, I think, because it's sincere, it's genuine, it's relationship, and it's treating people the way you would want to be treated. And then finding all those places, like you said, and just doing it. People just have to do it.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Thank you so much. We're gonna stop right here, and it has been such a pleasure spending this time with you and picking your brain. Let's see, if we could do a month of this, maybe we'd get through about a quarter of what you got inside there. So I thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for taking your time to tell us a little bit about traffic.
Well, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here, Pam. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks.